One of my social work mentors, Sunil Dutt, he was a good health activist. So he told me that Dr. Gilada, you don't talk sex education, you call it health education. HIV is the name of a virus. It's called human immunodeficiency virus. And by name itself is that it is only in human beings.
In popular beliefs, HIV is something which is transferred from the parent to the kid.
People with HIV, they are more compliant than HIV negative. Look, your life is around 5 years after HIV. So if you stop smoking, you increase that by another 4 or 5 years. If you stop smoking and drinking, you increase by another 4 or 5 years.
Every third person is diabetic because in India, diabetes is like a pandemic.
Diabetes is a sign of prosperity. The moment you see more diabetic, more hypertension, more obesity, that means your country is progressing. And human beings have become so selfish that for their own survival, they can kill animal, they can kill bird, they can kill snakes, they can kill all plantations. In last 40 years, more than 70% new infections are all zoonotic.
If we compare the cost of HIV treatment for between India and America, what is the difference?
It is 1% to 3% of international cost. That 85% of the perpetrators are known people. My dissertation was pattern of STDs amongst homosexual prostitutes. 1/3 of them were abused by their family members. 1/3 of them were abused by teachers. And 1/3 of them were abused by neighbors who were in the community. That means nothing is safe. COVID should have taught us lesson for the entire next generations to build up your immunity right way. But unfortunately, we forget all that suffering of Delta wave.
HIV is curable, but AIDS is the last stage and it is not curable. Is that right?
No.
Namaste Dehin, my name is Jayesh and this is the J Report, a podcast where we talk about everything that is happening in the world and also in India through a Bharatiya lens. In 2022, India reported a staggering 39,600 deaths just due to HIV AIDS. Now, India is a country which has also produced Kama Sutra, but in this same country, 39,600 people died due to HIV AIDS. Majority of these deaths happen because of late treatment or improper suggestions given by random people. People do not consult their doctors regarding their sexual health in India. Because of National AIDS Control Program, the deaths reported in India due to HIV AIDS has gone staggeringly down since 1992. But still, in 2022, if we are reporting 39,600 deaths just because of this, it's still a big number. In the recent times, a lot of surveys have suggested that women account for a growing proportion of people living with HIV AIDS in rural areas. Of course, this is a huge concern for us as Indians. And on tonight's episode, we discuss everything regarding HIV AIDS with Dr. Ishwar Gilada, who was one of the first doctors who started treating HIV in India. Tonight's conversation is very important because Dr. Ishwar Gilada has given a lot of facts, lot of data and lot of suggestions to people how they can safeguard themselves from sexual diseases. This is one of the most important discussions regarding HIV AIDS in India, so please watch this till the end. So without further ado, let's start this podcast in 3, 2, 1. Namaste, Dr. Ishwar Gilada.
Namaste.
Welcome on the podcast. So previously we talked on our Hindi podcast and we talked about sexual health, we talked about HIV, AIDS and everything. Today the topics will be same, but we'll go even in depth of everything, and we'll start off with a very basic question which a lot of people want to know. What is exactly HIV?
See, HIV is the name of a virus. It's called human immunodeficiency virus. And by name itself is that it is only in human beings. It reduces your immunity, so immune deficiency in virus, HIV. So when you say HIV means it's a virus. But when you want to designate somebody, a human being, is a HIV positive person or a HIV infected person. Earlier, this same HIV used to be connoted with AIDS. And if you talk about HIV and AIDS difference, it was a one-way traffic. So person with HIV infection would get HIV infection, then started getting some symptoms like fever, cough, loose motion, etc. That is called HIV disease. Then started getting internal diseases where tuberculosis or brain problem or abdominal problem. They're called secondary opportunistic infection. That time it was called AIDS. And after AIDS, the average lifespan was 17 months earlier. So one-way traffic means a person with HIV would progress to AIDS and will die. So equation was that HIV is a deadly killer disease. But after the advent of antiretroviral therapy, it has become a bilateral traffic. So a person from HIV without treatment can go to AIDS or die. But with the advent of treatment, the person can be brought back from AIDS, from a deathbed, back to only HIV positive.
Right.
And you stay as a healthy as HIV negative person. So it is HIV positive, but it is not disease. And therefore, the difference between HIV and AIDS, now AIDS should be eliminated. Because when we discuss AIDS, that means we are talking about end stage. And now end stage is very rare.
Okay, it's rare.
Very, very rare. Means only by your own self habit you can die. If you don't want to take treatment, you can die. And in very, very rare circumstances, the treatment doesn't work. But now the research is going on in such a way that every year, 2 year, there is new molecule coming. So if the previous molecule did not work, the new treatment will work. So HIV guarantees four things today. Number one, if your lifespan, suppose we talk about India, it is on an average, male lives 71 years and female lives 73 years. So at birth, you are guaranteed that much of life. A child can die at 1 and somebody can live up to 96. But the childhood mortality being reduced, your lifespan is good. So even with HIV diagnosed at age 20 or 25, you can still reach to 71. That means your life is not reduced by 1 day because of HIV. Number two, HIV related hospitalization, almost zero. You don't have to be hospitalized for HIV. You don't have to be sick with HIV. That means the moment you are found HIV positive, it is called test and treat. You are found positive, you check viral load and treat. So your viral load becomes undetectable and you don't have to be sick. You can have accident, you can have other things which are not related to HIV, but no HIV related hospitalization. Number three, HIV doesn't compromise your sexual life. So even if somebody is married and one partner is positive, other is negative, the negative partner will remain negative for whole life. Or if somebody is positive and still want to marry, and the husband, girl and boy come together, and they come to us and we counsel, they get married. That partner will remain negative for whole life. Fourth thing is that you can still have a child, and child will be HIV negative.
Okay.
So in our clinic, in last 4 5 years, we have 174 children born, despite being HIV positive on treatment, and all the children are negative. So nowadays, even parents come and they say that I want to test my child. I said, no, don't test. We'll test after 1.5 year, 2 years, because I don't like pricking a young child, and I know that the child is going to be negative. So what is the point in just self satisfaction? Number five, and most important, your life is not compromised a little bit. Whether it's a social life, personal life, financial life, professional life, nothing is compromised. So whether you are HIV positive or negative, if nothing is compromised, then I think HIV is not a very big disease. Yes, it is in many, many million people, but because of the advent of treatment, it's a good disease to stay with.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because you mentioned about the kids thing. It is not transferred from the parents to the kids. How is that possible? Because in popular beliefs, HIV is something which is transferred from the parent to the kid. So how has this happened?
So when we talk about HIV positive person, we need to categorize two things. Number one, a HIV positive person who doesn't know the status of HIV and not on treatment. And the other person is HIV positive but on treatment. So person on treatment, just within 2 months or 3 months of treatment of ART, antiretroviral therapy for HIV, that person becomes undetectable.
Okay.
And undetectable is untransmittable. So in person who is HIV positive, if you cannot detect a virus, that virus cannot be transmitted to wife, spouse, partner, or from mother to child. In the first group, where HIV positive is there, but the person doesn't know or not on treatment, in that case, we call that a natural course of transmission. In natural course of transmission, mother to child transmission is possible in at least 1/3 of children. So out of 100 children born to HIV positive mother not on treatment, 32 will get HIV and 68 to 70 will not get HIV despite mother is having HIV and despite not on treatment. And that is called natural immunity for children. So 70% God saves, 30% medicine saves, and we save 100%. And therefore, the transmission, though in practical sense it is sexual transmission, or blood transfusion, mother to child transmission, and accidental transmission through healthcare procedures or surgery. But in reality, if the person is on treatment, no transmission is possible either sexually or mother to child or through surgery or through blood transfusion. Blood transfusion, because you provide a blood which is a 300 ml of blood. And if the person is undetectable viral load, still undetectable means either it is less than 34 or 40 copies per ml of blood, which can be brought from 2 crore or 3 crore or 2 million or 10 million to that much level, or it can be target not detected, TND. That means in 1 ml you did not detect. But when you are giving 300 ml, there is a rare possibility of transmission. Therefore, HIV positive person's blood, despite being undetectable, is not used for transfusion to other person.
Okay.
So, barring that, mother to child transmission, zero. Husband to wife, wife to husband transmission, zero. And any kind of surgical procedure, where a lot of surgeons sometimes questions, no, your your patient is HIV positive. We have to take extra precaution. We have to take. So I tell his wife doesn't take extra precaution. Still, she's negative. What extra precaution you want to take? You don't get HIV by doing a surgery on a HIV positive person who is undetectable. And even if you indulge sexual activity with the patient, you will not get HIV. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So, how do you get as a surgeon? But it is very difficult barrier to break for surgeons, for gynecologists, because often they will question, you are a physician, you don't have to do anything, you just take blood pressure, but we have to operate, we have to go in blood, our hands are in blood, soaked in blood. So, it's difficult battle. I've been telling, because once there was a case, I was referred that patient for a orthopedic surgery to a private hospital. They admitted the patient, financially exploited the patient, and at the time of the surgery, they said, no, HIV positive, we don't operate.
Hmm.
So I said, I referred the patient to you as HIV positive. I didn't refer as HIV negative. I'm talking about those days when treatment was not there. Now, very good treatment is there. So he said, no, we don't have gadgets to prevent HIV. What kind of gadgets you require? No, we need helmet. We need these barriers, that barriers. So that time, Kargil war was going on. I said, even Kargil war warriors are not asking helmet. You are the surgeon, you are asking helmet. I think you just discharge the
Why
patient.
do you need helmet for?
I don't know. They said, no, when we are doing a surgery, if bone part comes and pokes in, all hypothetical fear. But they should have stopped surgery there and should have said nothing to the patient. They came and announced in the waiting area that, look, we are stopping the surgery because your patient is HIV positive. And that patient's daughter was to be married. Their in-laws were sitting there. And it was the marriage of that daughter, patient's daughter, was on verge of breakage of marriage. But the patient was wise and he said, call me, and he said, such and such thing happened. I said, both of you come. They came, we had a good family session, and we convinced the in-laws that even if he is positive, daughter is negative, there's no harm in marrying, and he cannot pass on HIV to anybody in your family. Finally, marriage went on. So I think such kind of unfounded fears are there. But through this program, I would like to clear to the any surgeon, any person who is doing internal procedures, gastroscopy, etc. My person with HIV and on treatment with undetectable viral load is as good as any HIV negative person. I would go one step ahead and say that a HIV positive person on treatment and undetectable viral load is better than HIV negative person. Because for HIV negative person, you don't know whether the person indulged in any sexual activity 8 or 10 days before. And even if you check today, HIV is negative, but the person is in window period. But my patient who is on treatment is on daily treatment, his viral load is undetectable. So my patient is much better than HIV negative person.
So basically, if the treatment is going on, the HIV virus, it cannot transfer from one person to another.
Another person.
But then, how do you get to know that I have HIV? Like, what are the symptoms, basic symptoms?
See, the first and foremost, it is not a yes or no that I can say HIV positive negative. HIV will not come from air. HIV will not come from food or eatable or water. HIV will come only from three activities, which I explained. Sexual is called sexual intercourse unprotected with a infected person who is not on treatment. Number one. Number two, blood transfusion for some diseases like thalassemia, aplastic anemia, hemophilia, or some accident. You are given blood transfusion. Number three, born to a mother who could be HIV positive. So barring these three, HIV will not come. So you take a proper history of a person. If the person knows that he has not indulged in sexual activity, if the person is not born to a mother who is HIV positive, The person was not given blood transfusion. There is no need of scare of HIV, no need of even testing. Number two, if the person has indulged, then you check whether you have a symptom which are in the category of HIV disease. Even if you may not have symptom, but if you have a risk, get the test done. Any test done 90 days after risk, if it is negative, is negative. In that you don't get into third generation, fourth generation, expensive test, PCR test, even simplest and cheapest test. After 90 days, if it is negative after exposure, it is negative. Number three, if you have symptoms, if you have history, but your test shows negative, you are negative. So those symptoms can be related to anything because, as I said, fever, cough, weight loss can be in tuberculosis without HIV. It can be in diarrhea without HIV. So it can be in many diseases. So there is to be always any diagnosis of any disease. Three things is history of a person, symptomatology of the person, and test. And test should be coming as a adjunct, not as a first thing that you straightway go and get the test done.
Okay. So basically, when a person is marrying, on an ethical level, should that person disclose if he or she is HIV positive to the other person? Because, as you said, if the treatment is going on, then it won't transfer, right?
See, there are two things: ethical, legal, and moral. Three things. Legally in India, a HIV positive person marrying HIV negative person is not allowed without disclosing to the person. So if the person goes with understanding and with the consent that I'm positive, she is negative, fine. But if suppose that is not done with consent or in deceiving somebody, keeping the person in dark, then that other person can sue the person and also get us as a doctor as a witness that what did you tell the person. So we always counsel the person and say that okay, you are positive, we want to get married, you bring your partner, we'll counsel and we'll tell them all the details of pros and cons. And we always tell them that okay, despite being HIV positive, he will not transmit infection to you. I'm saying always he because most of the people are initially male and then the female come in picture. So once that is done, then my job is safe. And I take consent from them that I have counseled them. Now get married. Now there are a lot of partners, the other partner who is negative, they say that this partner is better for me than an unknown partner. Because here at least I know that he is positive, he is on treatment, he will not pass on the infection. The other person may be positive, may be having other STDs, not disclosing to me. So for me, this is better. So today, though we wanted positive marriages to happen, there are more marriages happening between positive and negative. Very, very large number. Maybe 8 to 10 times more than positive marriages.
So, when we talk about an HIV positive person, what are the lifestyle changes they should look at?
No, no. Lifestyle changes basically for HIV positive or HIV negative. They are not different.
Okay.
So what we tell them that be regular, do exercises, stop smoking, tobacco, alcohol, which can trigger some other problem. I found because I deal with both HIV positive and negative people. People with HIV, they are more compliant than HIV negative. Because HIV negative thing, I don't get anything. I have no problem. HIV positive person, now at least there are good treatment and they have a full life. When the treatment was not there, we used to tell them, look, your life is around 5 years after HIV. So if you stop smoking, if you're a smoker, you increase that by another 4 or 5 years. If you stop smoking and drinking, you increase by another 4 or 5 years. So by your own habit, without coming to doctor, without doing any more than what you are doing to stop it, your life is increased. And I have seen that a lot of people complied and they stopped them. Secondly, I tell them that okay, your husband wife fight, always fight going on, but if your life is limited, so why you want to fight? And I have come across couples who says that our life after being HIV positive is better than our life before HIV. Why? Because anyway, I thought I'm going to die, so why should I be hurting my wife? Why should I spend unnecessarily? I should save something for my child. I want to send my parent for pilgrimage. I send them now. So they realize that their life is more content, and the value of life comes only when you know that it is shortened. If you know that it is unlimited, there is no value for life. For anything, anything which is unlimited to you, you have no value. When there is something in short supply, then you have a value. And therefore, people with HIV, they have a perfect life despite being positive, and they don't have to do anything extra than other negative people. But Obesity, avoid. Diabetes, hypertension, stroke can come. There are some medicines in HIV also, in HIV treatment. They also can trigger diabetes. They can increase diabetes. So we need to take a history of if your parents had diabetes, if your siblings are diabetic, if your grandparents, because diabetes can jump from one generation to the third generation without affecting the second generation. So we take that history. So those people who have a trigger in family, we try to double check whether this medicine will give them diabetes. And as soon as we have a first clarity that the person is getting diabetes because of this drug, we shift that person from that medicine to another medicine. So the most popular drug, which is currently called dolutegravir, which is part of almost 90% of HIV treatment globally, that can give rise diabetes to 10 to 20% of people. So we are also in search of a better drug than this, but it's like always you always need better and better thing. Initially, you wanted life, life is better. You wanted extending life, that life is extended. Now you're going for quality of life. So now most important thing for HIV positive people, apart from ART, is the quality of life. And that quality of life, what question you ask, that what they should do, they should increase quality of life.
Right. Which every person should do.
Everybody
Okay.
should.
So, like when we talk about India, especially, every third person is diabetic because in India, diabetes is like a pandemic, so to say. So, how does diabetes really affect an HIV positive person?
See, diabetes is a sign of prosperity. And the moment you see more diabetic, more hypertension, more obesity, that means your country is progressing. And we should understand one thing, that whenever we are progressing as a country, as a family, as an individual, we should also look at the ill effects of progress. And unfortunately, as a human being, we don't look at ill effects. We always look at good effects.
Right.
Whether it is a development, whether it is a afforestation, whether it is any kind of road or bridges. And that's what we are suffering today. We are suffering uh, from major calamities because of one-sided pursuit of selfishness. And human beings have become so selfish that for their own survival, they can kill animal, they can kill bird, they can kill snakes, they can kill all plantations. And we are getting most of the diseases which are zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic means they come from animal, initially animal to animal, but from animal to human being, and from human being to human being. So whether it is a HIV or Zika or Nipah or Ebola or SARS or COVID, they are all zoonotic diseases. In last 40 years, more than 70% new infections are all zoonotic. That means you are intruding the atmosphere or climate or kingdoms of animals, of plants. You're picking up infections from there. Like you have a right to survive, they also have a right to survive. And earth belongs to everybody. Earth belongs to plants, any livable animals or birds or ants, and you. I'm not trying to impose on vegetarianism on people, but you try to have a limitation on your progress. And same thing would happen in individual. When you are progressing, you're getting diabetes, you're getting hypertension. With the progress, you are becoming more and more sedentary. As your body becomes more heavy, then you are less mobile. Work from home is a big disease where you had interaction with people outside, that is stopped. Your best friend is only screen. And then you just Google around. So everything you want to get at a click of a mouse. So that has created a problem for everybody, not HIV. Now, how does HIV person get affected? Because I always tell that if there are three diseases, two diseases, God comes to you. That in my one hand there is HIV, on the other hand there is a diabetes, and as a God's prasad or as a God's gift, you must take one. So by and large, people will prefer to taking diabetes because there's no stigma to diabetes. You know, diabetes means you can go in a lot of conversations say, I have diabetes, my father had diabetes, my grandmother had diabetes, as if you are getting a pride of saying
Right.
diabetes.
Exactly.
HIV, you want to hide. None of the hospital is created by a person who is HIV affected and maybe billionaire, except in few countries like Western countries where Magic Johnson, they lend their name being positive to HIV. So HIV has a stigma, but HIV is a better disease than diabetes. So if God comes to you, take HIV.
HIV is safer than diabetes.
Safer, better, and more life sparing than diabetes.
How can you explain this?
In diabetes, I tell patient, don't take sugar, don't eat maida or wheat, don't eat rice, don't eat potato, do this thing, do that thing. In HIV, I don't say. I never stop my HIV positive person from eating ice cream or from eating any sweets or from taking tea, coffee. I've been always telling them not to take alcohol, tobacco, and smoking. That's it. But they are anyway, what do you call, I wouldn't call ill or bad habits, but they are habits which are not going to be helpful to you. And I tell people that if you think anything is good, then you should first share with your children, wife, mother, father, and then you take yourself. So if you take alcohol is good or smoking is good, share with your children. There you are hesitating. No, no, no. So that means you know that is not good. And therefore, my patient with HIV, I always find if you compare with HIV and diabetes, they are better placed than diabetes. Number two, diabetic will get heart attack without even a chest pain. They will die silently and they will say, oh, suddenly the person died, but they had a sudden cardiac arrest. In diabetes, it doesn't pain. Number three, diabetic will have a lot of complications of brain, of heart, of internal body system. And sometimes you need to even amputate your leg. We have a lot of people who have gone to gangrene because of diabetes. So diabetes will have a lot of implications and complications which are not in HIV. And diabetes also, sometimes medicines will not work and they are always trying to find out medicine. Then insulin will not work. They are trying to find out that. But in HIV, at least there are good medicines available. As on today, HIV is better managed, better disease than diabetes.
Okay. Which country, according to you, has the most number of HIV positive patients?
See, I started one narrative during COVID that we should not talk about which country has more cases. Because India being number one in population, it will be number one, number two, number three in many diseases, many problems. We talk about percentage. In population, which population has a higher percentage of HIV? And that 70% of HIV infection is in Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, the population of which is half the India. So suppose we talk about 50 countries of Africa, of sub-Sahara, means below Sahara. Their population is around 70 crore or 700 million. In that 700 million, 70% of the world's HIV infections are there.
Why is that?
Because there are two, three things. Africa, initially the HIV started from Africa. Some people do not like that discussion because it's stigmatizing to some country from where it started.
Can you also elaborate this? How did HIV actually start in Africa?
See, there are different theories of how HIV could have come in beings. It can be a biological warfare, which is reported. It can be a zoonotic disease, which has more plausible theory, where the similar virus, HIV is called human. There's a virus called simian immunodeficiency virus, SIV. So, simian means a monkey virus. So monkey virus, which existed in green monkeys and magabe monkeys in Africa, that SIV got changed to HIV-2. HIV has two different viruses, HIV-1 and HIV-2. So HIV-2 and simian virus, if you look at genome sequencing, there is 70% similarity.
Right.
From HIV-2, it became HIV-1 when we became more active. HIV-2 is a sluggish virus. HIV-2 became more active and killing more people. So HIV-1 and HIV-2 similarity is 70%. But HIV-1 and simian similarities are around 30%. So it is definitely originated from simian, that is monkeys, and then it went to a human being.
So
from human being, it started spreading in human being.
I've heard this theory that someone in Africa had unnatural sex with a monkey.
Yes,
and that's where it transferred.
Yeah. So the possibility of virus coming from monkeys to human being, there are 3-4 possibilities. Number one, you are habitating in the habitation of animals. So there can be a monkey bite. They can be eating monkey flesh. Like in India, we have in Muslim community, they have Bakri. They eat goat. So like there they eat monkey. Or it can be sex with monkey. It's called bestiality. And though any particular population will not like that, but in India also I have patients of bestiality. Bestiality means a person having sex with animal. And it is described in forensic medicine. Yes, I have patients. I have treated.
Okay.
They are out of that. But there are people who had sex with buffaloes, cows, or
Oh
dogs.
my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and that sex is itself is a different madness of world. But that is another possibility. So it could have come from monkeys to human beings. And how, whether it has come from sex, whether it has come from monkey bite, or whether it has come from monkey flesh, it is immaterial now. It has come. And it has come and stayed. If it would not have stayed, then it doesn't become a discussion. For example, there are some, what you call outbreaks, which are only some cases like Ebola. Ebola has not never become a pandemic. It become outbreak because it's a lot of death rate. People die and then it doesn't go beyond that. Zika, Nipah, they all became a very, very limited outbreaks. They never became pandemic. But HIV became pandemic because it spread from human being to human being and then it is not stopping. Now, because of the treatment, we are able to stop the progression of the infection and also stop the infection to one person to another person. But there is no vaccine. So unless until you check the entire population of the sexual population of the world, sexual population means those which are above 17 or 18, and then find out who is positive, treat them so that negative can be protected. But that doesn't happen. So there should be vaccine. They are working on the vaccine, but 30, 40 years have gone and vaccine has not come.
Okay. So I'll circle back to that previous conversation. Why does Africa have more percentage of HIV positive people?
Okay. So there are 2, 3 things. One is it could have originated there and it spread there. And it spread there in such a way it could not be detected for many years. So some scientists who have gone back and track when the infection could have come. And some of the French scientists working in the French part of Africa, particularly Western Africa, they had access to the blood samples stored in their laboratories in Paris, Pasteur Institute of Paris, to be brief and precise. There they found that even human samples of 1971 had HIV. So that means you can imagine that HIV first cases were diagnosed in 81. In Africa, it was diagnosed in 83, 85. So for almost 12, 13 years, it was spreading and it was spread to many, many parts. Number one. Number two, in some or many of the African countries, they want to emulate Western countries. So they are backward than India in a lot of facilities, testing, etc. But they want to go in an American way or in a Western way. In that sense, they have imbibed that kind of culture where multi-partner sexuality or a lot of trial and error of sexuality was happening. And at the same time, they were not, because culture is very important. Whether it is Africa, India, Western country, any culture, Roman Catholic culture or our Indian culture or Indus culture, all cultures are important. But when you drift away from culture, then you go close to vulturization of culture. And therefore, something could have happened, triggered off. And for example, because I spent a lot of time in going to Africa between 2000 to 2005. And countries like Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda, DRC Congo, Brazza Congo, Angola, South Africa, Botswana.
This was for HIV research?
For HIV. Basically, that was not my research. But I always connected myself with the have-nots rather than haves. So though I had access to go to US and get my training done in HIV, I wanted to spend time with the not like-minded, but like economy people. And I found that we should help Africa. So I used to go and train doctors there. And most of the doctors there, they said that HIV is not our cup of tea. We don't know how to manage HIV. We don't have HIV drugs. We don't have test for CD4. We don't have viral load. So I used to tell them that, look, I am coming from a country. I am also from a have-not background. And in that sense, I will basically, you're a basic doctor. If you're a basic doctor, you don't go to HIV management straight. You go for managing symptoms. If there's a fever, if there's a cough, if there's a diarrhea, you give the anti-fever medicine. In HIV, what fever is there, and in non-HIV, what fever is there, the same paracetamol will work for both the fevers. So do that. Do supportive care. Supportive care means no smoking, no tobacco, no alcohol, exercise, good counseling, taking care of as a family. Number 3 is managing infections. So apart from HIV, because HIV person doesn't die of HIV, they get other infections like tuberculosis. So for tuberculosis, you have a treatment. For diarrhea, you have a treatment. For other fungal infection, you have a treatment. Why don't you treat that? If you do these 3 things, that means 75% management is done. Only 25% management of HIV is remaining. You don't have a drug. There'll be one time which will come and you will get the drug. And I kept on going there repeatedly, and also we call it applied research. Means I don't do hardcore research, but I started understanding what are they doing. So sitting in some clinics in Zambia, a patient comes, doc, give me penicillin. I said, why? No, no, yesterday I had been to funeral. Funeral, and what is the relation between funeral and sex? They said, when we go for funeral, a lot of people sleep with anybody. And our funeral is like more than a marriage ceremony. So I exposed myself with two, three different ladies. Sometimes the husband and wife used to come and fight. So wife will accuse husband, you have five partners. So what? You think I'm less than you? I have also two husbands. One in the fish market. And so I said, where are we going? Means we are brought up in a culture where we had no such discussion. But there they have a machoism. Like people from Kenya will say, I'm a Masai, and I'm more virile than other people. So they want to show their virility on sexuality, and therefore multiple sex partner. Then I also seen two, three things which are good things to note here. In South Africa, they said that HIV prevention through bicycles. I couldn't understand what is this
HIV prevention through bicycles.
So I said, what is this? They said, because there are a lot of young girls of 10, 11 or 12, they commute from home to school for 3, 4, 5 kilometers. So somebody on the way will say, oh, come on, I'll give you lift and I will take you to the school. That girl will go with that man and that man will have sex with the girl.
Okay.
So the president there decided that if we distribute bicycles, then the girls will not have to depend on somebody to give a lift to the school. And then that sexuality can be avoided. Was one anecdote of Swaziland. A king of Swaziland, on his birthday, he goes around with a stick in his hand, and as a ritual, the young unmarried girls will have to parade on the street without clothes, but with some leaves around on their waist. And he used to use that stick of just seeing their genital, their private part, and if he likes somebody, he will pick up. And every birthday, he would pick up one or two women, and he had many, almost 50, 60 women as wives. So there was a BBC program, and there they said that the king of Swaziland has launched a anti-HIV campaign to prevent HIV. But however, with his background of what he's doing, we do not know whether it's a problem or the solution. So this kind of thing was happening. It may be happening in other parts of the world also, but it was happening in many countries in Africa. So therefore, it became widespread. So coming to your previous question, what is the percentage? In some of the countries, it went up to 30%.
Okay.
Zambia, Zimbabwe, Burundi, Uganda. Uganda was around 15%. In many countries, with like means you catch hold of three people, one is positive. Kenneth Kaunda was the president of Zambia. He came to International AIDS Conference in Montreal, in Canada, in 1989, and he announced that third of my 7 children got HIV, and he died. So he had a daring to say that. So in some families, out of 10 or 8 or 7 children, 2, 3 were positive.
Mm.
Even he made a statement that one third of our pilots of Kenya Airways, not Zambia Airways, are HIV positive. So that was the situation. From there, I would take a pride of saying that being an Indian, we could salvage the entire Africa and a lot of other poor countries from that worst situation to what they are today. Whether they owe that success or their upcoming to India or not, it's up to them. But at a time when the medicines were so expensive that it was $10,452 per year per patient. In the today's sense, it comes to around 80 lakhs rupees, 8 lakhs rupees per year. India provided that medicine in 2000 for $1 per day, that is $365. So 10,000 came to 365. Today, the same medicine provided by India at $70. So you can imagine that at 0.7% of international cost, we are giving 100% same bioequivalence of medicine from India. And if India was not in picture, millions and millions more people could have died from Africa. I had seen during that period, around 2000, 2002, that on one small cot, they were keeping 7 children. because there were no 7 cots available for children. One oxygen cylinder was shared by 7 tubes coming from there, going to the 7 children.
Which country was this?
Zambia.
Okay.
And so many people could have died, they have died that time. They used to collect dead bodies of 5-10 in the community and do a mass funeral on Sunday. So every Sunday newspaper you will to see that today there is a mass funeral in this area, that area, because as I told, the cost of funeral was more than cost of marriages, and they were collecting 8-10 dead bodies and sharing the cost 10% each, 15% each, like that, and they were doing. Now that Africa has overcome that, that's only because of India. In 2000, precisely 2000 AD, there was a case in Supreme Court of South Africa. It was a case against Indian pharma company Cipla. Against them were 64 multinational companies. It was not only HIV, but any drug that India is making, they are saying they are violating patents and our business is hampered because of them. We 4-5 small NGOs joined Cipla. MSF is a very big organization now, but at that time it was a small organization. Patient Treatment Group, Patient Action Group, Treatment Action Group, TAG, and me. And we fought, and we never thought that we'll win battle against 64 multinational companies, which are backed by countries like America, Sweden, Germany, UK. But we won that battle. We won that battle in such a way that that was the most turning point, not only for India, not only for Cipla, not only for Indian pharma company, for the whole world, whole globe. Otherwise, it was two different worlds. One is for us, we are rich and haves, and you are have-nots. That means you can die as ant and will not die. So that was the situation, and we have been able to drift away entire Africa or poor countries from that situation to what they are today.
I think this was the case after which the international companies, they gave you the right to recreate those medicines, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, you are right. You are right. That is called voluntary license. So that was the point when for some countries in some pharma companies in India, it was do or die. They could have been crushed to even flat if the American and other companies sue. But WIPO, World Intellectual Property Right Organization, they took a side of poor countries. And I coined a slogan that our fight is patent versus patients. And patent versus patient means you have a patent, yes, you have a right to protect your patent. But we are patients. I'm not an intellectual property right person. I'm not your employee. I'm not your descendant anyway. My job is to see that my patient survives. Now my patient cannot survive by hook, then it has to survive by crook. So we will violate patent if you are not able to provide us medicine at an affordable cost to Indians. And I used to give them example. For example, there is a company called GSK. That time it was Glaxo. Glaxo will have a medicine, same medicine in America, India, and Africa, and the cost of medicine will be differing. It's called deferred cost or staggered cost in different countries. So there was some priority costing. I said, okay, ART also you provide a priority costing. If you provide priority costing, our company did not produce. They were not willing to do that. So we violated patents, and then they realized that if India continues to violate patents and their medicine comes to our country, means their country, then their business will be down further. So they played a good role. They said, okay, we'll come down to you, discuss with you on a coffee table, and we'll provide you voluntary license. So there are two different licenses. One is a voluntary license and one is a compulsory license. Compulsory licensing is to be issued by government. And most of the governments are scared of doing compulsory licensing because of some relationship. Like India, America will have good relationship. India, Germany will have good relationship. So for the sake of one company, one patent, they don't want to spoil inter-country relationship. And therefore, they will not do compulsory licensing so easily. Some countries are totally slaves of America or big countries. For example, Thailand, etc. or Philippines. So their whole economy depends on them. So they will not do compulsory licensing.
Right.
Voluntary licensing is where a patent owner company will come down and provide a voluntary license to the generic companies and say that, okay, you produce, but you don't sell this product in our country. Or in patent respecting countries, for example, there are some 60, 70 countries of Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, those countries. You don't come here. Not only coming, you even if there's a conference, you cannot put a stall there. You cannot show your product here. And that much they have to sign. But we are benefited saying that, okay, we don't have to fight litigations. We provide, and our job was not to only Means India's job was not to make money from rich countries, but provide life to poor countries.
Correct.
So our philosophy of India was always been caring others. घायल की गति घायल जाने और न जाने कोई. Means only betrayed can understand the woes or sufferings of betrayed people. And therefore our importance was to life. And therefore they came, to give you another example, HCV, hepatitis C virus. It was a killer, a bigger killer than HIV. And the people with HCV without treatment can die within a year or 2 years with a liver failure and all this problem. The medicine which was found by one international company from America, it was costing $84,000 for 84 days of treatment, $1,000 daily for one tablet. When they came, they gave voluntary license to 11 Indian companies and told them that we'll give you know-how, you produce here, and you sell for $1,000 for the whole course.
Okay.
So $84,000 medicine was sold by Indian companies for $1,000. It's 1% cost. 12th company came. They said, why you choose 11? Why not me? I'm going to produce this and sell at $300. They produce for $300. All 11 companies and that 12th company, they are all producing that for $300. $84,000 medicine for $300. That means 0.3% of international cost. And what happened? A lot of patients from other countries like Australia, New Zealand, America, they used to come to India. It was called HCV tourism, hepatitis C tourism. Come here, stay in 5-star hotel, take medicine treatment from us here. After 84 days, do viral load test and go back. Still you save 90% of money what you are spending there. So that is voluntary license.
This is very interesting. And I also want to know, because I have noticed that in America, health insurance business is on a boom every time you look at the numbers. And I'm guessing this is because the medical cost over there is much higher than India, as you explained. So if we compare the cost of HIV treatment in the modern world in 2024 between India and America, what is the difference?
It is 1% to 3% of international cost in
Okay.
India. 1% of older drug, 3% of newer drug.
It is the same treatment?
Same. Means I'm saying, I'll give you example. One multinational company came to me around 15 years, 20 years before. And when they found a medicine made by Cipla, they said, I want to carry this. I said, you pay the cost and take it. So they paid the cost of that medicine was around 2,000 rupees something. And they took the medicine. And I thought they will do analysis of that. If something wrong, they will blow out of proportion and publish. After 2 years, that was nothing. So at international conference, I said, you people came to us, 15 people delegation to my small clinic. You took that medicine. I did not find that medicine in any American museum. Where is that medicine? You must have analyzed that. You kept quiet. You kept quiet because you did not find even 1% impurity. Did you find anything? Had you find anything, you would have blown it out of proportion. So our medicine, even at 1% of international cost, is 100% same as your medicine.
Right.
Earlier, Indian medicine packing used to be a little bit poor. A lot of time, Indian medicine, which was in Africa, there was Western propaganda to tell Africans that, look, these are all cheap medicine. They are still sold on street. Your pilots and your cabin crew go to India, they buy and they sell you. Don't take. And sometimes they used to be allured in such a way that in Angola, Luanda, I went to that hospital where I set up a clinic called Clinica Esperanca. It was a copy of my clinic. And then in that Luanda, that government hospital, even the person who made that clinic, he named one room as a Dr. Gilada's room there. So I went to their pharmacy and I found some medicine from India. So I told them that this is from India. They said, no, this is coming from Brazil. I said, no, sir, this is from India. And the medicine was from a company called Hitro, and it was mentioned as Hyderabad. I said, that time Google was not there to tell them. I said, Hyderabad is in India. They were not willing to listen because in Angola, they are so much dependent on, like they have a direct pipeline from Brazil to Angola for oil. So they will be only talking about if West tells them that sun is coming from the West, sun is coming from the West. They were not willing to listen to me. But I argued with them. And after argual, I had a chance to meet health minister. health minister of Angola said, I would like to come and see your setup and even that factory in Hyderabad and Pune and Mumbai. He'll come over. So when that health minister came, he had gone to the factories and seen how our Indian companies were producing the drug. I'm talking about 20 years before. Now it is much more improvised. And we have got impressed. And then I told him, this is Hyderabad. Hyderabad. So medicine was going from Hyderabad to Delhi, Delhi to Brazil, and Brazil to Angola. The cost of medicine was 100 to 200, 200 to 300. So I said, you're anyway, government is spending 300. In that cost, if I ask Indian companies to give you medicine, you can treat 3 times more number of people.
Right.
And then the whole channel of Indian medicine to Africa started. So they brainwashed Africans' mind so much that look, we are trying to help you. Now, help in a sense, there was a medicine called Indinavir. Indinavir was expensive medicine, good medicine. Now it is no more in market. So when they reduced the cost to Africa, what they said that this medicine will cost in Africa at 5% of international cost, on which we will not make a profit. Huh? That means, admittedly, you were doing a profit of 95%. And even in 5%, I don't think they were doing charity to Africa. That 5% medicine we produce for 1 rupee, 1%. So, what they were showing and what is convincing to Africa is that what medicine they can buy from India, or if somebody gives to them, that is saving more number of lives than the gifted from America. And during vaccine Maitri, during COVID, after that, a lot of medicine Maitri started in India. In India, one of the very big program is supporting what you call sub-Saharan countries of Africa with 1,500 crore rupees for medicine free of charge. So that helps them to gain a confidence that Indian medicines are no poor. They are having 100% same bioequivalence. The fight of patient versus patient can be with WIPO or international court, but it is not fight between the doctor, patient, and the company.
Interesting. So, I think we have come a long way since then. Today, I think African countries, they actually value Indian systems. In fact, like, be it medicine, be it politics, anything, they value India. But I really want to know the other aspect of HIV now, which is same-sex relationships, because as we've seen, LGBTQI is a growing community, and over there we see a lot of same-sex relationships happening. So, how does HIV affect over there in that community?
So basically, HIV is transmitted through sexual activity. So sexual activity can be heterosexual, homosexual. And therefore, it will be directly, if you talk in scientific language, two things will decide. Number one, number of sexual contacts will decide the chances of infection. I'm talking about untreated person. Treated person, you can have any number of contact. You may not contact HIV, but you can contact other STDs, sexual transmitted. So untreated person, HIV positive, all the chances will become on how many number of partners you have. Number one. Number two, anal sex and vaginal sex, there is a difference. Where the vaginal canal is made of a multiple cells, common cell epithelium. So that is a bit thick, tough. So it doesn't get break with sexual activity so easily. But the anal canal is a single cell columnar epithelium. I am talking in just purely scientific and anatomy language because I don't want to hurt any community. There's nothing wrong or right in here. But in anal canal, when there's a single cell lining versus a vaginal canal where there's a multiple cell lining, the lining can break very easily with sexual activity. Secondly, the vaginal canal is made naturally for sexual activity or for child delivery. So it can expand. Means you can imagine that a child's circumference of total head can come out of vagina. And later on, it again goes back to the same level. But anal canal is made something to come out from inside to outside. So the peristaltic movement means our intestine makes a movement when you want to go for toilet. So your body makes a peristaltic movement and then you take out something from inside to outside. So that is a natural way of peristalsis where the wave is from inside to outside. In sexual activity, it is swimming against the current. So swimming with the current is easier. Swimming against current is little bit painful, whether you are swimming or whether you are swimming in sex. And that's the reason that there are more chances of breakage during anal sexual activity. So whether you are doing vaginal sex or anal sex, you should have protection. Number one. Number two, usually for vaginal sex, the condom which is a little bit thin. For anal sexual activity, condoms are little bit thick. Number three, sometimes you don't get HIV, you can get other STDs, and some of the STDs are going to creating havoc, and two of them are going to be hepatitis B and HPV, human papilloma virus,
which you said are more dangerous than HIV.
more dangerous than HIV. They will outnumber HIV. Only talking about hepatitis B, the number of people dying of hepatitis B related diseases will outnumber HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria together, three together.
Okay.
And currently in India, it is almost 5% of population is hepatitis B positive.
Okay.
And it is 100% vaccine preventable infection.
Hmm.
And vaccine cost is peanut.
So vaccine is available for
Vaccine
this.
is available, very cheap. Thankfully, Government of India started a vaccination program for children, which is called Expanded Program of Immunization, EPI. In that, they included hepatitis B from 2011. So amongst polio, triple, measles, mumps, they added hepatitis B. And right from the child's birth, the hepatitis B vaccine is given. So children born after 2011 are protected. Some children born before that also are protected because some private practitioner like us were using. But people who are born before 2000, they are not protected. So they should be given vaccine. The second disease is HPV, human papilloma virus infection. In my clinic, Unison Medicare, in a small sample size of 100 people, where we have done the anal scooping and done HPV test. To tell you frankly, in India, nobody is doing this test. We are the first to do this test, and we found that 45% of them are HPV positive. And 25% of them, that is out of 100, 25% of them are HPV high risk positive. That means 16, 18, and 45 type positive, which can cause cancer. HPV cancer, they can be caused, cervical cancer is in female is called HPV cancer. Anal cancer and penile cancer, they are all HPV cancer. And as per a Tata Cancer Hospital study of Mumbai, more than 50% of the oropharyngeal cancers are because of HPV. And the oropharyngeal cancer is because of the orogenital sex. So HPV is going to create havoc. Even HPV is vaccine preventable, but the vaccine of HPV is very expensive. A lot of people cannot afford as compared to hepatitis B vaccine. And thankfully, another good moment by government of step by government of India is that they declared a policy to vaccinate all the girls below the age of 15 with HPV vaccination from, they said 2024, probably it will start next year. And our Indian company is going to make that vaccine, and making that vaccine, that will be affordable. But my appeal is that it should not be only female, it should be male and female both. Because most of the female will get infection from male. To even prevent female, you have to vaccinate male.
Right. So these are like preventive vaccinations, or
These are
like
preventive vaccines.
okay. So after it happens, there's nothing we can do.
You can still stop the progression.
Okay.
HPV, suppose somebody has acquired HPV, still by taking vaccination, it may not progress to cancer.
Okay.
So we can stop that.
Okay. Interesting. The other thing which I really want to know, when we talk about like a person who has just turned 18 or 16, 17, whatever, this is the age where hormones in your bodies are changing, and you generally indulge in sexual activities. What should this person know about? And not just HIV, I'm talking about like proper sexual health. What should this person know about? Like, what are the things that he or she should do, or things that he or she shouldn't do?
See, at not only mere 17 or 18, we are getting people at 15 or 16 indulging in sexual activity. The more we delay in sex education, we are creating more and more problem for the next generation, number one. Number two, there's a very good article today in Times of India. It talks about how to communicate with children and how the good and bad touch should be considered as a safe and unsafe touch. Because even good touch, even bad touch can be titillating for a child. So we should educate child to prevent sexual abuse right from 2-3 years of age. That is one way. Secondly, in India or in many countries in the world, the word sex education is a taboo. And one of my social work mentors, Sunil Dutt, we used to travel together many times for creating awareness about HIV.
Sunil Dutt is like Sanjay Dutt's father?
Sanjay Dutt's father, a very good human being and a film producer and actor. But he was a good health activist. So he told me that, Dr. Gilada, you don't talk sex education. You call it health education. Health education commensurate to age of the child. So, like at 2 or 3, you teach children how to keep your nose clean, how to wash hand, how to sanitize. As the child grows, you keep on adding the components. So, when the child is around 12 or 13, when the uh, female get puberty or male get their puberty, male may get after 2 3 years. So, you start adding those components to them, and in doing that, sometimes the parents have to play a role, but parents are also imbibed by the Indian culture of their parent never talk to them, so they feel little bit ashamed to talk about
It's an awkward
sexuality. Yeah,
conversation for
it's the
them.
awkward conversation. So in that sense, teachers, if that doesn't happen, then doctors, and if nothing happens, you have a good booklet, good book, keep on your coffee table. As soon as the child grows, the child will pick up and ask you questions. When child asks you question, there are two ways of educating. One is active education and one is a passive education. In active education, you provide actively and you feel a little bit awkward to give that. But when the child asks you a question, don't misguide them. Give them a correct answer. And by doing that, you are doing your job. To elaborate this example, nowadays in the schools, they have some homework. So one homework was given to a child, childbirth, write an essay on childbirth, write 10 sentences. So the child came home and asked mother, mother, mama, mama, how I am born. So mother said, because of God. That is the answer we got from our parents. So mama, mama, how are you born? No, because of God. Who told you, mama? My mother. So child immediately picked up phone and called Nani. Nani, Nani, how are you born? Because of God. So child got the answer and child was confused. But child wrote the essay saying that in my family, in last 3 generations, there is not a single normal birth. So that means the children also know something. They want to ask you something, honestly answer them.
But then this is a problem, right? Because I remember when I was in school, seventh or eighth grade is where the sexual awareness chapters come in your science textbooks. We were never taught about that. Like our teachers just skipped over that chapter. So how do you like convey this message to the younger children?
So there are two ways. One is if the school doesn't do that, the health organizations like us or doctors like us should do.
But then that
If
would be
that doesn't
rare, right?
happen, then peer education.
Hmm.
So suppose in a 7th, 8th, 9th class, they are to be educated. Then the 10th class student who is smart and good communication, that person should discuss.
But both of these things are very rare, right? Like very few people will take that first step to do this.
I wouldn't think they are rare because all the children around 14, 15 or 10, 12, 13, they start discussing sexuality. So we just think that the cat is closed eyes and drinking milk. So we think no, no, is all hush up. We shouldn't discuss. That is the way children are discussing. So in that sense, the peer leaders, you train them properly what to talk because that is a time they can be deviated, and we must stop that their deviation. I'm not talking about deviation to homosexuality to heterosexuality. I'm
Hmm.
talking about they are in experimentation stage. They would
Right.
like to experiment. You tell a small child, 3 4 year child, don't touch there. You will get a current. So he will have a or she will have a habit of taking a key and put in that
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
see what is current. So you have to educate them properly at that particular age so that they are able to understand what they should do, what they should not do. And secondly, keep your open channel of communication. The child should always come and tell you what the child is feeling and answer them.
Right.
So the parenting is a very difficult job, even by doing hundreds and thousands of talks. For me also, it was difficult to talk to my daughters, but I had to overcome that, and I talked to them when they were very young. Again, I will give you example. When my elder daughter was around 5 or 6, I talked to her about sex abuse, and I told that any unknown person touching something is wrong, and that we should come and report. So within 1 week or 10 days, she came and she said that one of my classmate, her family maid servant, male servant, was trying to put a hand in her private parts. So I said, "You show me how did he did." So she showed me everything. My job was to tell that child's father because
Hmm.
My daughter and my friend's daughter or my daughter's friend is like my daughter. So I called that doctor. I said, "Can you come over today?" He became a good big cardiologist now. They came, husband, wife, and I told such and such thing happened. You keep a watch on your servant. They felt offended. They didn't thank me. And thereafter they stop conversing with me. I said, okay, I have done my job. My wife said, why did you have to do that? I said, no, we must do our job. So this kind of thing, even that article today's Times of India says that 85% of the perpetrators are known people.
Right. That is very true.
Known people. And even my research, I'm talking about 1983 to 86. My dissertation was pattern of STDs amongst homosexual prostitutes, hijras. And my basic job was, how did you become hijra? How did you have your sexual activity? One third of them were abused by their family members. One third of them were abused by teachers. And one third of them were abused by neighbors who were in the community. That means nothing is safe. So in that atmosphere, you must prepare your child as early as possible. I wouldn't say which age is particular, but again to give example, in a parent-teacher association meeting uh, in South Bombay area, they called me and they said, "You talk to our teachers. When do we start?" And parent-teacher means teachers and parent. When do we start sex education? So I said, "See, I have educated my daughter at 5. So for me, first standard is good. So raise hands. How many are interested in first standard? No, but no one raise hand. Sixth standard, seventh standard, eighth standard, hardly few hands were coming up. As soon as it came ninth or tenth standard, all the hands were up. So I said, okay, I wouldn't want to impose on you that this is the proper age and that is not the proper age. For me, I'm a small human being, a small organization. We can do only X number of education. So we start with 10th standard. Nothing wrong. If we complete 10th, we'll go to 9th, then we'll go to 8th. So there is no point in arguing with them that, no, no, why don't you start at first standard? So we should not impose on somebody if we feel. So you should go in stepwise process. After that, they now started at fifth or sixth standard also. So in the stepwise, we could convince them. But here we need authorities. Here we need parent teachers participation. Here we need health community to do that extra work. Because if all the doctors become interested only in increasing their personal practice, and they are not interested in preventive health, that may also affect your children, your grandchildren. So we should have some responsibility and giving to society in this fashion.
I feel this is something which, as a society, we need to change, because when I compare like the Western society versus the Indian society, this is one thing which I appreciate about them. They're very open about all of these things. They are open to talk about these things. Whereas in India, we are not open to talk about this. In fact, like before we started recording this podcast, when I was talking to my team and I asked them, like, what was the age when you actually got to know about what is sex? And what was that first memory? How did you get to know? So they all were like, we got to know about it at like 12, 13 years of age. And it was not through like sexual awareness programs or education, it was through pornography, which is the most incorrect way of telling a child that this is sex. So what is your opinion about like pornography and whatever like people take away from that?
See, basically, you put up a very good question that some things are good in Western country and some things are not in our country. See, our country at this time should know what to pick up from those countries. Any kind of new drug abuse, any kind of new brand of alcohol, any kind of new dance, any kind of new disco, it doesn't take more than a minute or more than a day to come here. Any kind of scientific development, it takes 10 years, 20 years. Why should we shy there? If you shy there, you shy in the first place. So we should pick up what are good things. Every culture would have some good things. And even our culture, there are a lot of good things. When COVID came and they talk about surgical precaution, they talk about hygiene. I said, most biggest hygiene is taught to us in our cultural practices, in our community, which I come from, Rajasthan, Marwadi community, where birth, death, marriages, all are ceremonious.
Right.
And everywhere there is a scientific base. But we forgot that scientific base. We just followed because our parents told us. You take anything in our even dead body. We are in a family mourning. We keep a distance with the family where some death is there, because if somebody's died of some infection, that infection has an incubation period. So we that incubation period was 9 day, 10 day, 11 day, 12 day. So all this out. uh, post-death ceremonies or days are there. They are based on that incubation period. Same thing with the delivery of a woman. The child can get infection from people. She was kept away. Child was kept away from light. Child was kept away from sound. All these are cultural practices. So we should find out what is good in our culture, publish that. What is good from other culture, try to compare that. Pick up. And this is a global world, a global village. So nothing is kind of a boundary bound. Everything can be going from here to there. So if something is good from Western country, we should imbibe.
And the other thing about HIV now, because this is a disease which particularly attacks your immune system. So, if someone has HIV, what should they do to empower their immune system again? Because I'm guessing even a normal fever would become a very high fever for them. Anything like it would just blow up. So, how can they prevent this?
So very good question. And I would like to emphasize what is immune system. Let people understand what is immune system. Almighty God has given us a lot of things in duplicate.
Right.
Huh? Why they are given in duplicate? Because if one is damaged, the other part should work. You have two eyes, 2 ears, two nostrils. We have two testicles. We have two ovaries for female. We have two brains. So everything is duplicate. So similarly, your immunity, two lungs are there, two kidneys are there. So even if one damage, you can still live. But heart is one, tongue is one. So we always say you shouldn't have two different words. Sex organ is one. If just imagine if God would have given two sex organ, you could have at a time you could have here and there. So God has given in a and is a totally synchronized manner. Our all organs are systematically placed. If on the right side there's a liver or kidney is little bit below, then left kidney. So all these things are well arranged. Similarly, our immunity is well arranged. Every human being from birth onwards, they have a double immunity than required. Double immunity. So double immunity means what happens? Your body has a spare immunity. Now, if something happens, you can still overcome because you have half the thing extra. In HIV also, when HIV attacks, HIV has a special affinity for a cell called CD4 cell, which is a type of white blood cell. It has got an affinity for glial cells in brain, alveolar spaces in lung, chromaffin cells in intestine. So it has affinity for them. So the virus will go there, will start making friendship with that cell and start manufacturing virus there. So the particular cell, rather than helping our body, is helping the virus.
Right.
But this will keep on happening. I'm talking about natural course. I'm not talking about ART. No treatment is given. So in natural course, what will happen? It will take minimum 5 to 7 years to finish your 50% immunity. So because I told you they have a 100% extra immunity, your 50% immunity is gone. Nothing happened to you. You had just fever, you overcome. You had something, you overcome. This is equated to a building. For example, your building, you have a three shift of watchman. And there are four watchmen. One shift, one is off, and other three are managing 8 hours duty. If one dies and you don't want to apply fourth one, still three can manage because one will give off and two will manage duty. When the second will die or second leaves you, two people cannot manage because you only 50% reduce. So somebody will sleep, thief can come in. So is insecure. So similarly, in our immunity, till 50% is depleted, nothing would happen. Another 50%, that means 25% is remaining, 75% is gone. Then you start getting sick because that 25% cannot manage the load of infections coming. Infection can come from outside and within. There are some infections within us. They are called commensals. Infective cells, organisms. Commensals means they don't create infection. For example, yeast. Yeast in our digestive tract is a commensal. It lives there. It helps you digest. But that yeast can also become fungus and can become a fungal infection. So suppose you are breathing something. There's somebody who has come with a tuberculosis and breathe out tuberculosis germ. 10 people are sitting here and two people having a low immunity, where immunity is around 25%. So that person will pick up and that can manifest in tuberculosis. Other 8 would have overcome that tuberculosis because our immune system will fight with that and stop it. So till 75% immunity is not depleted, nothing much will happen in the body. But there's no like a perfect meter that somebody will get in 10 years or 5 years or 8 years. In somebody can virus can be more virulent and can engulf. But naturally, 5 to 7 years without treatment was good enough.
Okay.
Now with the treatment, you tested somebody positive, treat. You will not allow that immunity to deplete. And therefore your immunity will be saved for other infections. Whether COVID comes or TB comes or other comes, it will keep on fighting.
Hmm. But then this is a general question, not just for HIV patients. How do you stop that 75% depletion of your immunity? Like, what are the particular step by step things that you should do?
So you see, I'm talk about in a gang war. I call HIV has come as an enemy. Then you are inviting trouble by smoking. You are inviting trouble by drinking. You are inviting trouble by drug addiction or chewing tobacco. So when two, three trouble come and there's already one enemy inside, they will all gang up against you and that becomes a gang war. So how to protect your immunity? If you have one problem, you try to not get other problems. If your habits are good, you are doing exercises, you are doing yoga, your food is clean, your water is clean. So when our patient, now also we tell the same thing what we used to tell 20, 25 years back, that see that you don't eat from cold chain outside. If you want to, because I cannot stop people not going out. Some doctors would tell, no, no, आप बाहर का खाना मत खाओ. Don't eat from outside. No, I don't say that. I say, okay, you want to go out, eat, but eat only hot chain food. Cold chain means you avoid salad, you avoid some kind of open juice, open fruits, open cut fruits.
Is this
Avoid
why
that.
like dhabas are much better than like some of the restaurants?
Any hot chain, because most of the virus, bacteria, fungi, or parasite, they will not survive in steaming hot food. So it should be, rather than eating only rice, which can be served from a patela, you say jeera rice. So they have to make jeera rice. So they have to hot it up. Get hot roti, hot chapati, hot vegetable. Avoid cold chain. If cold chain is to be there, it should be from a tetra pack, so that at least there is no. I cannot vouch that everything will not have infection, but that is better than open thing. And by that way, they can protect their immunity. And most of the time, we try to protect our immunity when we are sick. But our immunity should be built up even before we are sick.
Right. Which is what was the conversation during COVID, right? Like everyone was talking about do this to increase your immunity, but then doctors were like, your immunity should be before that,
Before
not
that, before
after
that,
something
before
happens.
that.
Hmm.
And actually, COVID should have taught us lesson
Yeah.
for the entire next generations to build up your immunity right way. But unfortunately, we forget all those things, all that suffering of Delta wave, all the sufferings of people dying and
Hmm.
finding difficulty in oxygen. I used to think that exercises will increase, yoga will increase, walks will increase. They have decreased.
Yeah.
Decreased because of a lot of people started to work from home. I call work from home is a very big disease. It's going to be a big pandemic.
Okay. Doctor, I mean, a lot of people come to you for consultations, for advice regarding HIV, regarding sexual health. What are the most commonly asked questions that you receive?
See, the most basic question they ask is, can I stay in the home, same family? Can I kiss my daughter
Like after HIV has happened to
after
them?
HIV has
Okay.
happened? So, rather than other people getting worried about this person, that person can harm us, these people are, see, by and large, no human being is born to harm others. There can be some few, but majority, 99% people, they don't want to harm others. So if they get infected, they don't want to infect wife or spouse. They don't want to infect any child. Even remotest chance, they will say, my clothes and those clothes are being washed together. Will there? It will affect if I have blood one dot there. So I tell them, okay, whatever surf or the detergents are used, they're good enough to kill the virus. So these are basic questions. That can I share the same kitchen? Can I share the same plate? Can I share the same bathroom? Or should I have a different bathroom? Or can I touch my brother, sister? And that is basic question. Next question come, how do I prevent infection to my spouse?
Hmm.
Third question, how do I get child? A lot of times earlier, not done anymore now. Pregnancy, the gynecologist used to say, Arey, you are positive, abort the child. And they aborted the child rather than treating that woman for HIV, because treatment is available for almost 25 years now, 20, 30 years now. And then this thing was not discussed by patients with us despite being under treatment. Now we started proactively asking them, how many children, one child, what happened? No, no, I was aborted because of advice from gynecologist. So now I started giving an example. One of my patient who had a 21-year-old boy, and he died in a traffic accident. And they came in severe depression, and they said that, can we have a child? And I told them that, you are still young, you can still have a child. Just this 2.5 years, 3 years before, during COVID. And she conceived, and she's getting a child.
Okay.
So I think we should be pro-life. I'm not going into debate of abortion, non-abortion. I'm saying that we ask our patient, if you want a child, now or never, because as you grow, the chance of pregnancy will go down. So as soon as they get married, within 2, 3 years, 4 years, they should have a child. They cannot be a fixed time. They also need to get adjust. They also look at economy and other issues. But if they want to have a child or two children as early as possible. So this is the next question they ask. And third thing is, how long I am going to live? There were people who resigned from the job or who closed their businesses. They thought, anyway, I'm going to die. I'll go to village. There was one person who came to me almost 24, 25 years back. He was in a five-star hotel, Taj Hotel. And I must admire the Tata Group. Even 25 years before, they offered that patient, you can continue to work with us, or you can take a one-time money and go and retire. And fortunately, during that period, I also educated their staff and everybody. So that patient came and they said, anyway, I'm going to die. I said, you're not going to die. He didn't listen. He took one-time money, retirement. He went to Kolhapur and stayed there. So there were people who left the job, who closed their businesses, who did not want to do anything new. But now everything is changing. So the person will ask, should I expand? Another good example. One of my patient following with me for 27, 28 years. And his family abandoned this whole family, isolated them. And I said, no, nothing would happen to you. So when his child was growing, he said, when do I disclose to my child? I said, don't disclose anything till the child is settled properly. So the child was interested in being a pilot. So this fellow is a diver, international diver, diving, not driver. So he supported the child to become pilot. The child came back and came back with a girlfriend. And this fellow said that, sir, now I feel obliged to tell my child, because now my mission is complete. I wanted to see him becoming a pilot. I spent on him. He became a pilot. He has joined some airline now. So both girl and boy came, and he said, sir, you tell. I told them. So the child argued with father that, why didn't you tell me? You are at least do your duty. I said, he didn't tell you in your interest. You tell me, had he told you that he is HIV positive, would you will you still have gone to US for training? No, I did not have gone. I said, in your interest. So don't accuse or abuse your father or mother. They had done a very good thing. And they now, and I made that person to talk to his father. I said, whatever wrong information they had about HIV, they would have behaved with you like this. Your father's birthday is today. You call your father. Say, father, I would like to come and see you. He went to his father. So HIV can bring all these things if you provided that proper knowledge when to disclose. So his idea was, should I tell my parents? Should I tell my child? Should I? He told his parent, he suffered, because the parent came to know, he suffered. So he should not have told parents. So we need to discuss all those things. Disclosure. To whom to disclose? And what is the benefit of disclosure? And what is the loss of disclosure?
Right. But then let me ask you this, because we talked about pregnancy a lot in this particular episode. Um, you said that it won't transfer from the mother or the father to the child if the treatment is going on. But what if the person gets to know that they have HIV after pregnancy has happened? Will it transfer from the parents to the kids, and how can it be prevented?
So there's a good principle in medicine, preventive medicine. It is called 5 levels of prevention. 5 levels of prevention is, prevention doesn't stop anywhere. So if you have prevented in the first place, fine. If you didn't prevent, or if you didn't know, a mother comes in 5th month of pregnancy and still 4 months to go, I can still prevent mother to child transmission by giving her treatment. If the mother comes at 9 months of pregnancy, I can still prevent. I can give 2, 3 extra drug, which will be very, very effective on virus. as I told you, the chance of mother to child transmission is 1/3. 2/3 are naturally saved. During the absence of HIV treatment, we used to deliver them with Caesar section. Caesar section means because out of this 30% or 32% infection from mother to child in untreated mother, half of the infection was from childbirth. Means the child is coming out of the vaginal tract.
Yeah.
A lot of blood is there, a lot of fluid is there. 25% was from breast milk, and 25% was from uterus, in utero. So 50% could have been saved only because of Caesar section. So at that time, we advised Caesar section. So even at the time of 9 month full pregnancy, we test and find positive. I can still prevent lot of infection. I cannot guarantee 100%, but 95%, 98%, 99%, I can do that by giving her treatment, by giving the child treatment for 6 weeks, by avoiding breast milk if the virus is still present in mother, and by doing a Caesar section on a child or on a mother. So, and we done that, all this established through a lot of our research. We done a project called PHO Wadia model from 92 to 2002. 1,16,000 mothers were checked. They were delivered. They were, out of them, 1% were positive.
Okay.
So almost 11, 12,000 were positive. No, 1,600 were positive. Out of 1,600, only 2% children got. I'm talking about 2002. Before that, that means during that time also we could use drug which was available. We could do Caesar section. We could do counseling to mother. We could ask them not to directly breastfeed. Remove your milk. I never stopped mothers from breastfeeding, but I given them modified breastfeeding. I said, okay, there's a breast pump, or you can manually express milk, heat and give. By heating the milk, the virus dies, even if there's a virus in the mother's milk. So I'm talking about those difficult days when group counseling, because when I'm talking about 116,000 women over 10 years, that means 10,000 women per year. We couldn't do one-to-one counseling. So we put 10, 15 women together, group counseling. So concept of group counseling, concept of pool testing. We couldn't test everybody separately. So 5 or 10 sample together. If that is negative, all 10 are negative.
Right.
If that is positive, then we test again to find out who is positive. Doing a modified breastfeeding, doing a Caesar section, and treating mother and child with whatever drug was available that time, only AZT, single drug. Now there's a combination of 3 drugs. So despite that, we prevented that infection from 32% to 2%.
Wow.
So now everything is available.
Okay. And hypothetically speaking, if there's a person who has HIV.
I was coming again there.
Yeah.
So suppose despite that, the child gets. I have one or a couple of them, but one girl came to me at age 32 with tuberculosis. And after taking history, I realized that mother is positive. Father died of HIV. So we tested her, she was positive. She had no sexual activity before that. Mother to child transmission. From mother to child also, she survived 30 years without any intervention, without any diagnosis. And after that, still she's surviving. She married to HIV negative person, and she had a child, which child is now 5, 6 year old. So these are all possible things. Therefore, even if the child gets HIV, it's not that life finish. The child will be protected with ART for whole life.
Right. So, because I want to bring in this one particular conversation because a lot of people get confused between HIV and AIDS. HIV is curable, but AIDS is the last stage and it is not curable. Is that right?
Neither HIV is curable nor AIDS is curable.
It is treatable. HIV is
Yeah.
treatable.
So HIV from a ghastly killer disease has become a manageable disorder, better than diabetes and hypertension. At AIDS, suppose the person has got AIDS. Why we call AIDS? Because the person has got HIV with tuberculosis, or HIV with some brain problem, HIV with diarrhea. When we diagnose and pinpoint that problem, and we treat that, and we start HIV treatment, tuberculosis is cured. Patient is started on HIV. Viral load is almost negligible or target not detected. Person is brought back. After 7, 8 months, person is only HIV positive. Not AIDS, not HIV disease. Nothing. Tuberculosis is cured. So you pinpoint whether there's a fungal infection, bacterial infection, and any other viral infection, parasitic infection. Except antiviral, all other drugs are very much available, plenty, cheap, and manageable. And we have that knowledge to understand what can happen in HIV. What are the diseases which are more common? And there is a very good principle in medicine. Common things are thought of commonly, rare things thought of rarely. So whatever rare things are there, they're not there. In a common person, lot of common things are there. So whether it's a PCP pneumonia, managing just 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Tuberculosis, free treatment program is going on in India everywhere. Patient cannot afford, still everything is available. MDR tuberculosis, people were dying, now they are still surviving. Even medicine worth 1,50,000 a month available from free from government. You have diarrhea, again manageable in just 120 or 200 rupees, not a very big problem. So point out what is the disease causing, which has made him to lie down on bed. Lot of times, uh, patient couldn't come, and relatives come and or they call, sir, he is lying and there's a lot of fungus in mouth, white, and he is having diarrhea. So I don't expect that person to come to my clinic immediately because I'm not going to serve any purpose. So I tell them, okay, till you bring the patient, you give this treatment. Uh, the antifungal, 6 tablet only, 1 tablet a day, 6 days. For diarrhea, what is this treatment? And then you come when the patient settles down. नहीं नहीं कुछ हो गया तो कुछ हो गया तो I will come and see the patient at your home. Don't worry. My colleagues who used to listen to me, sir, you are advising on phone. They will not come. They will not pay you fees. I said, I'm not only sitting for fee. If that patient is saved, that patient will say that this doctor treated me remotely, understanding what is the problem. That means he is fantastic.
Right.
They will not go anywhere. They will come down to me only. Secondly, if that patient comes to me, my clinic, and he does a bout of diarrhea in my clinic, who will clean it? I will shout at the patient relative. They said, what can I do? You only call us. So I am also preventing that kind of thing happening in my clinic. So in all sense, I treat that emergency. Patient becomes all right. They come, and then I start doing investigation and treat. So it is symptomatic treatment, understanding what is a common thing in that patient cannot walk. As soon as he climbs up, is a hypoxic. I know there is PCP pneumonia. I start co-trimaxol tablet costing 1 rupee per tablet. Within 10-20 rupees, patient is all right. 4-5 days, kya kiya, doctor sahab? Oh, you have done dhamal. You have treated my patient like this. Things are very easy. I always tell doctors, managing HIV is only requires you a good commitment. It doesn't require a lot of fancy training. If I could train doctors, when I trained some doctors in Africa, there was a language barrier because in some countries they have a French and some countries they have a Flemish, there's a Belgium language. So they used to keep an interpreter. And they used to pay me some $150 a day. They used to pay that interpreter $500 a day. And that interpreter used to say what I'm saying, what he's saying, I used to tell the doctors. Because that one place in Burundi, Bujumbura, they called me, they said the 3 days training program. I was myself not feeling confident to do training for 3 days myself alone. I said, I will bring someone. No, sir, we don't want. We want only you. So 3 hours, 3 days means 8 into 3, 24 hours. 1 hour opening, their health minister came, 1 hour closing, their health secretary came. So almost 22 hours I was talking. And at the end of the session, we had a feedback session. Some patient cried. They said, doctor, you taught us some simple techniques which we feel confident of managing. All these Western doctors treated us like their compounder, their assistant. They said, HIV is not your cup of tea. You sit there. The doctor used to come and sit in the chair. We used to stand there. Though the doctor who was coming from Western country was young and this person is aged, in medical profession, we respect a senior person. And that person, okay, you write that medicine, you do this thing. But they were not even trained to how to treat. And then TV channels came and they asked me, are you hearing this noise in the bushes? I said, yeah, so some shots were happening. Said, do you have a new year? Like we have a Diwali? No, sir. There's a firing going on in bushes. Aren't you scared that you come all the way from India and you are training here and something happens to you? I said, firstly, I'm not aware what is happening there. Secondly, I'm not scared because I'm doing a good job. Even if I get a bullet and I die here, if somebody will describe my death, they'll say this doctor died while training doctors. So I'm not doing wrong. And thirdly, nobody will intentionally with intention kill me because they also know that I'm not having any party of this president or vice president. I'm just training doctors. So by that way, I'm safe and secured. So if you treat doctors or train doctors in this way, whether in India or any other country, I think they can be very good clinicians and manage patients. ART is, yes, ART is helpful, but even if suppose sometime ART comes, patient comes, there's a rule called test and treat. Patient has been tested, found positive, you treated. But inside, if there is a tuberculosis, you are not diagnosed, the tuberculosis will increase
Right.
because there are some diseases which are immunological disorder. You describe immunity. So when in immunological disorders, when you are crying, there's a water in your eyes. When you are smiling, there's still water in your eyes. But water is water. You need to wipe. So similarly, when you are treating somebody, immunity is overburdened. Not what do you call, immunity is increasing. Still, there could be disease. So TB can come in good immunity. If there's a fungal infection in brain, patient can die of that infection because you started immediate treatment without understanding what is inside. So I need to understand what is happening in the body. So ART is not that you done and everything is done. There are problems. You need to have a good mind, analytical mind, as a good basic doctor. I'm not saying you should be highly qualified doctor, postgraduate qualified doctor, but basic good human being to have an analysis what can happen in particular this situation. And I can train any number of doctors in just 2, 3, 4 days of time, provided they are willing to learn.
Right. But then, coming towards the last segment of this podcast, which I really wanted to discuss, when we talk about like preventive things, when we talk about vaccinations, it's been what, like 30 to 40 years since HIV was discovered first. Why is there no vaccine still? Like for COVID, it was available within like probably 2 or 3 years. It has been like 30 to 40 years since HIV was discovered. Why is there no vaccine till now?
See, vaccine depends on a platform. Uh, Suppose there's a virus or a bacteria or anything, it depends on the behavior of that virus, behavior of that bacteria. COVID, though we thought it's very complicated, as compared to HIV virus, is a simple virus. So if you made a vaccine, it works on that. In HIV, there are only two type of HIV, HIV 1 and 2. Again, in HIV 1, there is a B, C, D, E. Again, in A1, A2, A3, like that, there are subtypes. And this is a fast changing virus. Suppose today you made a vaccine for anti-HIV, anti-HIV 1 and anti-HIV 2, A, B, C, D, and you made a vaccine and you given a vaccine. That A has become a small a. Vaccine doesn't work. You made A to Z. All A, alphabet to Z became small alphabet. It will not work. So they are not able to find out what could do be done to work on all current and future what do you call subtypes of viruses in HIV. Number two, they done almost 99 or 100 candidate vaccines have come. Candidate vaccine means only proof of concept. The vaccine is made. The vaccine has to go through firstly lab analysis, animal trial, then human trial.
Hmm.
After this successful in animal trial, it goes to human trial. In human trial, there are phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is only 30 to 50% people, people, not percent. In 30 to 50, it is safe and found successful. Then it goes to phase 2, which is 300 to 500, maybe 1000. Multicentric. So in different population, it should work. And if it is successful there, it should go to third phase, which is 30,000 to 50,000 people, 1 lakh people. Only 2 vaccines have come to phase 3. In that 2 vaccine, again, the result was around 50%. If you remember, the benchmark is 50%. In one vaccine, result was 30%. In other vaccine, 50%. COVID was given a fast track approval even to Sinovac vaccine from China at 51%, which is doubtful why it was given and why it was 51%, why it was not 49. But the HIV vaccine, HIV being a chronic disease, it doesn't kill you within a couple of days. So I always say HIV management is not an emergency. Managing other infection is an emergency. So HIV being a chronic disease, the vaccine can be found out only after few years, even if it is a proof of concept today. And after few years, they found that is 30% successful, 50% successful, permission not given. And now The vaccine research has slowed down because of one reason: good HIV treatment. If HIV treatment is there and HIV person is not dying, not getting sick, not hospitalized, and not transmitting the disease, it is called HIV prevention through treatment. It's called treatment as prevention, TASP, TASP. So if you have a couple, and in couple one is positive, one is negative, you treat that positive person, you prevent the negative person from infection. And therefore, prevention efforts have gone down, vaccine efforts have gone down, and I don't know whether it will come at all or not. But because of two reasons. One is the type of the virus, which is constantly changing. And secondly, the efforts which are done, they take longer time. You need that many years of follow-up. And if it is only successful, more than 50%, 51%, then only permission will be given.
Okay. But then how many years before we get that concrete one vaccine for this? Like, is there an estimate in your mind, like probably 50 years, 60 years? What number is that?
If I compare between cure and vaccine, I think cure will come earlier than vaccine.
Okay. What is the difference like between
Cure
cure?
means vaccine is for those people who are HIV negative. They are given vaccine and they should prevent. Vaccine is also there for HIV positive people. This is called therapeutic vaccine, where you don't want that person to progress to disease. That is not required because the medicine itself is not allowing you to progress to disease. So if that preventive vaccine has to come, if today proof of concept is there, the marketing will be after 5 to 10 years, not before 5 years at all. But currently, there are 5, 6 cases where HIV has been cured uh, uh, because of bone marrow transplant, because of genetic mutation, genetic transplant. HIV is cured in 5, 6 patients. And that is called 1% cured, but that is not being replicated in hundreds and thousands of people.
Why is that?
Because in that person, there was a cancer. For cancer, they give a bone marrow transplant. Cancer is cured, along with that, HIV is also cured.
Okay. So by mistake it got cured.
By mistake or good mistake, whatever. So, but you cannot do a bone transplant or any what do you call bone marrow transplant in every HIV positive person, because even that has a lot of side effects. That is very expensive. So that cannot be replicated. But currently, there is one thing which is called long-acting antiretroviral, and that long-acting antiretroviral has a good effect with injectable. If you give one injection, you don't have to take tablet for 2 months. So if the person is on HIV treatment and for 2 years is undetectable viral load, you can stop the treatment, give long-acting antiretroviral every 2 months. Now they are making a trial of every 3 months and every 6 months. If that happens, then you just go to clinic, take injection every 2 months or every 6 months, and you don't need anything, no tablet, nothing required. So we are on that path. And therefore, there are 5, 6 cases which are cured by different ways in different labs. They will combine this knowledge, and there's a HIV cure research going on in a big way. And that will probably make 8 to 10 years or 15 years, the virus can be cured. Currently, we are at functional cure. We are not at this functional cure means somebody has become negative. They need to be followed up every 2 years, 3 years, whether virus has come up from memory cell or somewhere.
So like India is polio free, if I'm not wrong. Do you think India can become like HIV free in any scenario?
I am pessimistic about HIV free because HIV is a sexually transmitted disease. You cannot decide one particular day that every sexually active person will be tested today and after another month and after 3 months. And if they are all negative, then only they should cohabit amongst negative. Positive should not cohabit with negative. This kind of thing doesn't happen. Secondly, you cannot diagnose all HIV infections in the world in a particular period. So it will be only because related to sex. Sex has a stigma. Sex has such a stigma that is like a carpet. Above the carpet, very clean. Below the carpet, fine dust. People don't want to discuss about it. So in that scenario, people will not come forward and report and get tested. Even people taking multiple risks also, they will not be tested immediately. There will be hesitation of lingering on for a year or 2 years also. So in that sense, it will keep on going. Secondly, this is a sexually transmitted disease, and there are 20 of them. So is one of the 21 diseases, HIV. None of the sexually transmitted diseases which are completely curable are gone away. There's a syphilis, there's a gonorrhea, there's a chlamydia, uh, the LGV, there's a chancroid. These all infections are 100% curable. They are not gone away. So HIV also becoming completely curable. It will not go away because there will be some people who will be transmitting infection from here to there. You are not able to catch all of them. You are not able to treat all of them, and suddenly some spot will come and the infection will may increase also.
Hmm.
In last 8-10 years, syphilis is increasing, HPV is increasing, hepatitis B is increasing, gonorrhea, chlamydia, which we used to say see every day 10, 15, 30 years before. 10 years before we didn't see anything in a year. Now we started seeing again. So STDs are going up again. So there's a lot of sexual revolution, sexuality revolution, sexual practices revolution, revolution both. And same thing is STD. So currently we are moving with lot of newer sexual activity which we never heard of at different ages, in different types, in different groups. One of my patient had monkeypox, and he had we used to only ask how many partners you have, one partner, two partner. On a particular night, how many partners you had? More than 10. So in one night, if somebody can have 10 or 12 partners, you may not get HIV if you are already on PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, but you can get other STDs. So there is lot of sexual revolution, changing pattern of sexuality and changing pattern of sexually transmitted infections.
Right. So in this conversation, I understood few things which I feel even people should understand, which is one, HIV is treatable and it is not as dangerous as we used to think. Secondly, the stigma around HIV, it needs to go away now because of course it's not what it is portrayed as. Like I've seen people talk about HIV in a manner wherein they have completely neglected that person. You also give that example. The person was thrown out of the family. And third thing, like when we talk about sexual health, there are a lot of other diseases as well, and they are equally dangerous or not dangerous, but then everything is curable over here and everything is treatable. You just need to have right guidance from people like you, and it can be treated.
Yes, it is. And therefore, when we talk about sexuality, same sexuality can be taken in a positive connotation. For example, a couple getting married, and after a couple of months or couple of years, there's a pregnancy. Oh, good news! Pregnancy is a good news. Is a product of sexuality. If somebody is not married and pregnant, pregnancy is pregnancy. Bad news because he's not married. Same thing. Same sex can, if we can give you pregnancy, where 1 in a million becomes successful. Here the chances are much more. You can get HIV, you can get STD, but that is bad news. So I think our attitude should change towards sexuality. We should consider a human being as and a human is a human to air. The human is always on the air side. ER, ERR. They always air. So even gods or Rushimuni, everybody has aired. You take any mythology, any history. Why not human being will air? So consider this normal. It's part of life. It's going to happen. And take it as it is. Infection is an infection, disease is a disease. Don't connote that because it's just like a ticketless traveler. In Mumbai local, there are a lot of ticketless traveler. The person who is not caught, what a smart person. He looks at TT, he gets down at that station. He behaves as if he is a frequent traveler. The moment the person is caught, he was like that only since beginning. He is thief. He is like that. So for the same person, our thinking or our connotation changes. That should not happen.
Okay. Thank you so much, doctor, for this conversation. I feel medical science, the extent to which it has grown, it has evolved. Everything is treatable these days. People just need right guidance. If you want to contact doctor, all the contact details will be in the video's description. So please check that out and get in touch with him for any kind of consultancy. And I hope so this conversation actually educated you about HIV and sexual health in general. Thank you so much, doctor.
Thank you.